to start the meeting, we can do that.
Okay, so I think we can do a roll call. Meeting starting at 5:50 p.m. Vice Chair Rogers?
Yes, here.
Commissioner Dolan?
Here.
Commissioner Aguirre?
Here.
Okay, and we have 3 absences, Commissioner Hohalter, Commissioner Rand, and Commissioner Campos. So I'd like to make a motion to give them an excused absence.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
those who oppose? Okay, motion is passed for excused absences. We need to approve the minutes from May 11th, 2021. Has everyone had a chance to read over the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Were there any objections, any thoughts, any errors? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to pass
We
the
accept the
minutes.
minutes as published.
Commissioner Rogers, did you want to make a motion to pass those minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those that oppose? Okay, motion has been passed to approve the minutes of May 11th, 2011. On the active agenda, we have a public hearing. Staff, would you like to tell us about that?
Okay, we're having a public hearing to consider a conditional use permit to which would allow a construction of a single-family residence in a B3 retail commercial zone. Residential homes are permitted after approval of a conditional use permit by the Planning Commission. Residential homes are the general regulations of conditional use permits requires the Planning Commission to have a public hearing related to the application. I would request that the chairman open the public hearing prior to me making the staff report presentation.
Okay, I'd like to open the public hearing for the meeting of Tuesday, June 8th. I know we have some people out there in the audience today. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. This is an application to place a single-family dwelling on a lot within the B3 retail zone. There was previously a house on the property which was removed because it was just old and dilapidated, and the applicant wants to basically rebuild the house on the property. You have in my staff report some of the information related to that site. The surrounding properties are mostly residential. There is a commercial operation across the street, and then there's a church close to the property. As I say, the zone allows this particular use as a conditional use permit. The major comments I have relates to the house currently, as shown on the plot plan, does not include a garage. And our regulations say any new single-family dwelling must have at least a 400 square foot garage. So I would recommend approving this application with the condition that a garage be constructed. That's my comments. I believe that the attorney representing the applicant is on the Zoom meeting and may have comments on it.
Okay, Mr. Schuler, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, ma'am. William Schuler. Miss Mendoza wasn't feeling well, so I told her I would stand in for her tonight, and I appreciate the commission allowing me to call in. I have nothing but trouble with my Zoom, so I appreciate that. And I would echo Mr. Shuttlesworth's comments and ask that the board adopt his recommendations. Certainly, we can get a hold of the contractor and have him maybe factor in a garage as well. And in my understanding, it has to be a 400 square foot.
Yeah, 400 square feet.
Okay.
Is the requirement.
I don't think that'll be a major issue. So, we'd asked the Planning Commission to, I guess I don't have a lot to add, the Planning Commission to allow the conditional use permit to be granted. As indicated, there was a house there. It was pretty beat up, so they had it taken down and just want to replace it. I believe all the services are already there and able to be hooked up pretty easily. So we'd respectfully ask that the Commission approve the use permit. Obviously with the contingency that the garage be added to the plan.
Okay, Commissioners, did you have any questions for Mr. Schuler?
I was wondering if there have been any commentary from any of the neighbors, property owners within 300 feet.
No, there has not.
They all have been notified, though?
Yes. We sent notice within 300 feet of the outside boundaries of the property and put a notice in the Sunnyside newspaper as required by law.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Was there anybody else on the Zoom or phone today from the neighborhood? Was it just Mr. Schuler for this item?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, if there wasn't anything more additional for Mr. Schuler, we can close the public hearing on this. Correct, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, did you have any comments or questions?
I was curious about the setbacks right there. Is that, I see 28 feet to the front of the new house. And in order for that to be 400 square feet, it would have to be constructed, the garage would have to be constructed at the back of the house?
Unless the house is moved.
Yeah, on the site is moved back on the property is what you're saying?
Right. What we're recommending on that too is that basically they meet the R3 setbacks residential, because normally the commercial doesn't have any setbacks, that particular commercial zone.
Yeah.
The applicants are good with that?
They presented the site plan, which basically does meet those setback requirements.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Okay. If there's nothing more, do we want to make a motion on this, or is there, Mike, is there more that we need to look into?
No, motion would be appropriate at this time.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve permit application 2021-0044 for request for conditional use on this.
I'll second.
Okay, and that was a second by Commissioner Dolan. Are there any objections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. All those who oppose say nay. Our motion is approved for application 2021-0044. Okay. And next on the item B, public hearing for annexation zoning request 2021-0102. Mike, would you like to talk to us about this?
Okay, let me make sure I have my sheet right here. Oh, excuse me. Okay, this is an application. We did a while back have the Planning Commission look at these two zonings, the next two that we're having a public hearing on related to annexation. And what this is now is a formal public hearing, so that we make a formal recommendation to the city council prior to them having a public hearing on the annexation and the zoning, as this is required by law. So this particular property is a 3.51 acre parcel requesting to be annexed into the city. They are requesting the zoning of R2, which is consistent with the surrounding zoning that's in the city. There is a fairly large development to the east of this site and to the south, and then to the west is public, so it's school site. So we're recommending that the zone be an R2, and that would be consistent with the other zoning, because the surrounding zoning is mostly R2 and some R3. That's my comments, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So let's open this up to public hearing.
Okay.
Is there anyone in the audience that is here for this annexation zoning request?
I am Ignacio Ramos.
Hi, Ignacio. Are you from Sunnyside?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Go ahead with your comments.
I just, I guess I didn't have a comment. I just wanted to say that I'm present and looking forward to hearing the results.
Okay, great. Commissioners, did you have any questions for Mr. Ramos?
No, I do not.
Okay. We can close the public hearing. And commissioners, do you have any comments or questions for each other or for staff?
I was kind of curious about the line, the city boundary line. It would be the blue line that I'm seeing on there.
That's correct. But you can't go by, because if you look at it, it crosses some of the lots that were within the city.
Yeah.
I have found on the maps that it's generally correct, but it can be off by a little bit related to property lines.
So lots like 32008, those are all annexed in already? And 32413 to the west of the
Yes.
annexation site?
Yes, those ones that are kind of a pale color, yes.
And those
So
are
basically just the property to due north of it's the one that has not been annexed into the city.
they would like.
Well, it's in our best interest to have this property in the city limits.
Most definitely.
I'd like to make a motion to annex the zoning request for 2021-0102 to annex the 3.51 acres. Okay, and who is that? Who is that?
Commissioner Gary.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Okay.
And that motion is that it be zoned R2?
Be zoned R2, correct.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those who oppose? Okay, motion is granted for the annexation zoning request for R2 for 2021-0102. And next item on the agenda, public hearing for annexation zoning request 2021-AZ0001. This is a request to annex 1.06 acres into the city of Sunnyside with a proposed zoning of R1. Mike, do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, this proposal is to, as the chairman has said, annex, excuse me here. We gotta get the right one here. Annex approximately 1.06 acres into the city of Sunnyside. Basically, this is a lot, one lot of a short plat. The other two lots of that particular short plat have already been annexed, and they're the ones to the east of this property. The surrounding properties are a variety of densities. However, the property to the adjacent east that was recently annexed are both R1. There is some R2 across the street. And then this is kind of similar to the other one. Across to the east, across the street is public facilities, which are a couple of school districts. And then there's a low residential zone to the south east of this property, and most of that area is zoned R1. And I think it's mostly developed into a church and surrounding uses related to the church. And that's my comments.
Okay.
Ms. Chairperson?
Yes, we can open this up for a public hearing. Is there anyone here for this annexation zoning request? No? Okay. We can close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments about this annexation request?
You mentioned AZ.
That's just relates to our program that we use for building permit tracking. We were in BIAS, which is our accounting program, and now we've moved to iWork. So you'll see a little different number sequence. In BIAS, it gives it a fairly long number based on what type of permit and stuff. Whereas in iWorks, it basically just goes to the next permit number.
Okay.
AZ
Mr.
is probably the
Sanchez is not,
initials. Excuse me?
Mr. Sanchez is not here on the phone today?
No, I don't believe so.
No, okay. Okay. Well, if there's no questions or comments, does someone want to make a motion on this request?
I would move to accept request. I think that's a good fit for that spot.
Okay, I will second that. A motion has been made for the annexation zoning request 2021 AZ0001 for R1 low density residential zone. And seconded by Moore. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those who oppose? Okay,
Wanted to
This
ask one
recommendation.
question.
sure.
The area on both sides of that annexation site, are those still in the county? Those are not, none of that's annexed yet?
Directly to the north and directly to the west are not annexed. There's two lots to the east that are part of that short plat that this lot is in. They have been annexed. And then the property to the south has been annexed.
Yeah, I see the big one to the south. It's leaving a couple of fingers though in that situation though, doesn't it? But
It does, yeah.
I guess
But
that's,
it's all within the urban growth area, so we're pretty consistent by doing it.
yeah. That's all I had.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Tom. So this motion is passed for R1 low density residential zone. Next item on the menu is continued workshop discussion, comprehensive plan land use element. Mike, do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, at the last meeting, we were discussing several issues related to our existing land use map and some areas that possibly should be changed. And at that meeting, after listening to some public comments and stuff, the Planning Commission decided to continue that meeting until this meeting to give the Planning Commission a chance to look at the issues and look at the particular sites. So this is just a continuation of that discussion. I believe one of the major issues was out on East Edison related to properties that were currently, one was designated commercial, one was designated industrial. And I think both of them kind of wanted to go to a zone that would allow them to allow mobile home parks. And one applicant, the larger B2 zone, has withdrawn his application or withdrawn his request. And the other one I did talk to, and I told him about the Planning Commission's issues and stuff, and he asked about who to talk to, and I actually referred him to Jay at the port about possible uses of his property. And I don't know if a conversation has taken place with Jay or not, but I did talk to Jay also to let him know that I had referred the gentleman to him. So that's all the additional information I have at this time. I'd probably open it up for discussion.
Yeah, let's open it up for discussion. I know Mr. Grubenoff is here in place of Jay Hester. So, Jim, do you want to come forward and say hi?
Sure. Hi, everyone. All I can say is that the board did not change their position at all about the fact that there does not need to be a mobile home park across from our business park. And I do speak for my two fellow commissioners and for Jay this evening. Our position has not changed on that whatsoever. It is just not a good fit for the area. It wouldn't be safe with all the traffic. And as I stated last month, we do need more housing. There is no doubt about that. But this is not the place to put a mobile home park with all that huge amount of traffic and possible I don't know how to say it in a polite way, but a lot of these places start out looking really nice, and in 4 or 5 years they deteriorate. And I can't imagine that any new businesses that would want to locate in the Port's Business Park would want to be close to a mobile home park. So that's all I have on that, and that is speaking for myself and the commission.
Thank you, Jim. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments for Jim tonight?
Curious about the designation for the mobile home park. Is there any special designations for those that are building it? Have they put any covenants in place that, say that you had to be 50 years old or older to be able to utilize that? Or is that something that can't be done?
That can be done. We're not involved in it. And the reason being, it's not something that our planning commission or council approves. A covenant is between property owners. We're not involved. We don't enforce them. You know, what I said before, when in other jurisdictions, if somebody has a covenant on their property and it says you can't have a certain thing, interesting. You can't have a certain use on the property and our zoning says you can have that use, I have to issue a permit for that use. I can't withhold it because there's a covenant unless that, whoever's disputing it takes them to court and the court says, no, you can't issue that. So that's the issue with covenants is the city cannot enforce them. It's not a ordinance or a law of the city.
Tom, the only thing I remember from that or one of the things I remember is that park that is going in, that was Questenberry's land, those mobile homes have to be brand new, and I believe they have to be purchased from the one company that owns that land. So they'll be basically uniformed. But that's quite a bit of mobile homes already that will be going in.
There's 136
So,
or
you know, the
something.
question is, do we need a second plot of land for more mobile homes? And Mike, is that something that we want to move forward with, or should we wait for the other commissioners? What are your thoughts on that?
That's strictly up to the commissioners. I'm just looking for directions.
Okay.
What I'm working on is we have a land use map that I need to prepare for the comprehensive plan. I'm just looking for direction. If I get directions to say do or don't do something, and what I will do, and I'll work with the county to get basically a future land use map prepared, and then that will come back to the planning commission for your review, and then also it'll go through a public hearing process. So this is not the last bite at the apple. It'll come back to you a couple times before any decision is made on it.
Okay, so you're looking for a motion that it would not be for a mobile home park per se?
No, the motion would,
No.
so basically, we have, I believe there's about 15 locations. We talked about certain changes to the map. And this particular one in East Edison, the property is currently designated as industrial. And I guess on that one, it'd be, do we want to change it to commercial as requested, or just leave it as industrial? And then do we want to make the other changes that I brought up at the last meeting?
Okay.
But if we make that into where it is now, industrial, in the future, there still couldn't, I mean, they could request a change again, but that right now, if it was industrial, we could not put a mobile home park there, correct?
Correct. What the process is, if the comprehensive plan future land use map, say it's adopted and it shows it as industrial, and the property owner came in to change it to commercial, we would not be able to process that because it would not be consistent with our comprehensive plan.
So what would it take to then take that little 3A that we have, that we've been talking about for this future development, and take that big partial 3A and just make those items light industrial? Because the one already is, but can't we just take the big 3A and just put it all light industrial so we won't have this issue in the future?
You possibly could, yes. I mean, that you could give me the direction to put that in the map. You probably will get some comments from the property owner, because I know that on the south portion of that property, he wants to do some commercial development, not residential development.
Is Jim, you're not opposed to commercial in that area, are you?
I don't believe particularly so. Our biggest concern is we don't want in any way, shape, or form to have a mobile home park there or multiple housing. If it's some type of a commercial business or something, I mean, that's what the port is all about, is attracting business. And that's what we're wanting to put in. I don't see that there would be a problem from the port, but without knowing exactly what he wants to do, I can't speak to that 100% right at this moment.
But there's that partial that is to the east of that little partial, just before the highway. Is that what you're talking about, Mike, or more to the south behind the parcels?
So this is the parcel to the west. It's a fairly large parcel, but it also goes all the way down to the south to almost, look at that, I believe, Yakima Valley Highway there. It almost touches that property.
Goes up to Popeyes, doesn't it?
So you're talking that property that sits behind the dollar store then?
Yes.
So it'll go from
all the way
Edison to
over
there.
to Popeyes or whatever. I think that was part of that property too. So it's a fairly large piece of property.
Well, at this time, I'm opposed of trying to put another park in that area, manufactured home park, and I mean, I really think that a light industrial would be probably the best and safe thing that we can do, so we won't have this issue. And then, I mean, I really stand that I think that might be the best thing to do for us.
Well, another alternative would be to direct me to put some wording in the comprehensive plan that look at our commercial zones and maybe modify them so that mobile home parks are not allowed in commercial zones.
Can we state no single-family homes or residential homes?
Pardon?
Or excuse me, RV, or excuse me, mobile parks?
Basically, what I've suggested, just wording about mobile home parks.
Okay.
Would not, if there's other commercial uses, such maybe an RV park or something of that nature, allowed in that V2 zone, I'm not suggesting changing any of those things, because those are probably appropriate use in that zone. Whereas, in my mind, a mobile home park is a residential development and probably should be in the residential zone. In fact, we do have a mobile home park zone that someone can apply for.
Right.
Okay. Do you want to guide me on the wording of how that would read for a motion?
It doesn't necessarily have to be a motion. It just can be the
Oh,
consensus
okay.
of the planning commission that I can, move forward and make the changes as I suggested. And that also put in the land use element, a discussion about not having mobile home parks in commercial zones.
So calling that a directive
But then-
is a little harsh then?
What's that?
Would calling that a directive be a little harsh?
Or, well, just directing me, basically just a consensus of that's the way we'll move forward. As I say, you'll have more public hearings on this issue in the future. So it may come back to you with different recommendations when we actually go out to the public and people have comments on it.
Well, and having Dr. Swafford's building there and then the eye clinic right on the end down there, I kind of pictured all the port property as becoming professional industrial. And I think Mike Weedham made a lot of good points about look at what we could do down in that area. And I think a mobile home park, to me, even though it's probably going to be dressed up pretty nice, I would think that you could fit a lot better items in there or industries in there that would create a much better tax base for the city. I think that the developments out there on Midvale Road are just incredible. So I myself didn't think that, and then finding out that it was a mobile home park after I saw the equipment, it was a big surprise to me also that was going in.
Well, can I make a motion to get those two items, just make it light industrial?
Yes, you can make that motion.
And then I would like to make a motion to get the 2-3As into light industrial.
I'll second that.
Should the area be larger than just a single lot we're talking about?
Well, and correct me, Mr. Gary, if I'm wrong, you're talking about both lots being industrial instead of one being industrial.
Correct.
Commercial.
Correct.
So that
So
really
both
would
items
be
are
a spot zone
3A.
because there's a large enough area there for that.
Yeah.
So let's
I
just
would like
recommend
both
that
of those.
staff change the wordings, and we don't actually have to make a motion. Mike can just do that with the comprehensive plan land use element and work on the wording for our next meeting, correct, Mike?
I can do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, let's do that first.
Mike, could you clarify for me I'm looking at 3 lots here. The parcels are 42404, 42402, and 42001. And now, of those lots, are we talking about 42001 becoming is that the one that is becoming a mobile home park at this time?
Okay, I don't have the parcel numbers there. So on the map where we have the 3As that I submitted last month,
Yeah,
so
I
there's
was
one piece
looking at,
there in gray in the middle and the 3As right over it. Okay, directly to the right or the east of that is the parcel that's being developed into a mobile home park. And it's currently designated and zoned commercial.
now, my understanding, that wasn't the one that George Johnson had put the letters in for that I was reading?
No, the other property with the other 3A on the larger property to the west, so it'd be on the left-hand side of the gray piece. That is the piece that Mr. Johnson owns.
I'm still not.
Tom, did you still have a question?
No, I see now what he's talking about.
Okay.
There's an unfinished road. It starts out coming from Yakima Valley Highway that cuts in on the south side of those lots.
It's not an unfinished road. It's actually part of a piece of property to the east of there.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's the access for that big lot.
Yeah. Mhm. Now, I think there is, the beginning of it, there is a small piece of city street, but I believe it ends at the east side of that larger 3A parcel.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm looking at too.
Mhm.
And it shows it on this map that I was looking at when I asked you about the parcel numbers.
Oh, okay. I don't.
It says yakamap.com on the upper right corner.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what I was looking at. And so I thought that I was thinking that the one that's already being developed as a mobile home park, that would be 42001, the parcel that I thought you guys were talking about. That would be not colored in. You have 2 green ones. And those are the ones they want changed to be able to create more of a mobile home park there. Which is
I don't know that I have the same map that you have.
well, mine says it's adjacent to the Evergreen Trailer Park. Those 2
Yes.
parcels.
Yes, there is there's 2 mobile home parks there. There's an older one that's to the far west of that larger parcel, and then the new one that's being developed is to the far east of on the other side of the gray parcel.
Yeah. And I don't
Why don't I see if I can get a updated future land use map for the planning commission for next month to look at?
for the whole area. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, we had a motion and I believe Commissioner Moore was seconded that motion. Is that correct?
That's correct. There is a motion on the floor.
Okay, so the motion was for this, let me go back to this, request for annex of, nope, this is for the comprehensive plan land use element,
Right.
and for this to be zoned light industrial. Mike made a motion, and I seconded it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those
Aye.
who oppose? Okay, so we can now have Mike put the wording of light industrial into that area for our comprehensive plan land use elements.
Madam Chairperson,
Thank you.
I got 2 votes for and 1 vote against, and I did not hear Mr. Dolan's.
I voted,
Huh?
I voted aye.
Okay, so it's 3-1. Okay.
Who was the nay?
Mr. Rogers, I believe, correct?
Roger?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I
we
will
can-
prepare a map for the next meeting, and we can continue this discussion at that time.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is a workshop discussion revision of Chapter 6 utility element of the City of Sunnyside Comprehensive Plan. Mike, your comments on that?
Okay, I'll go through this very quickly because there's not a whole lot of changes. Basically, on the first 2 pages, I just changed policies to comprehensive plan, where it says to address privately owned. I just put utility services in the city, and then I updated the reference to the policies and provided that they were countywide planning policies and their number, so people know where to reference them. On page 6-5, I did remove that WUTC requires gas providers to demonstrate that the existing ratepayers will not subsidize new customers. That's a regulation that we don't enforce. That would have to be by the UTC, and the same with the Natural Gas Act of 1978. Those are things that constantly change at the state level. So to put them in our comprehensive plan, they'd be outdated before we probably even got the plan done. That's one of the issues with utilities. They are regulated by different groups. The state agencies regulate some, federal government regulates some, and then we regulate some. And so to reference all these regulations, we could have 25 pages here of just references to regulations. So my suggestion is just to remove them and concentrate on what are the utilities that we have in here. On page 6-6, table 29, a lot of updates of that information is, Spectrum used to be Charter, Embark eQuest is now CenturyLink. I mean, I remember back when it was, I forget what the name it was way back when I was a kid. So updating the names of those different issues. Probably cellular phones is basically refer to them, but I took out the names because there are so many cellular phone companies out there, and some of them have towers, some of them don't. So it's best just not to regulate them. And then the FCC very much regulates those and has taken some regulations away from us. And then I pared down about Benton REA. And then the irrigation districts, we referred to the Snipes Mountain Irrigation District, and I believe it has been absorbed into the Sunnyside Valley Irrigation District. So I changed some of that. And then that is about it. I did, under the policies and goals, remove policy 1.1.
page 6.9,
Yeah.
6-9?
Right.
Okay.
And reason being is we really don't work with the utility companies. They get their own data. They know what data they need. The only time we really talk to them is when we send them information about us annexing areas, and that's so that they can send us the utility tax. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of coordination between the city and the utility providers because they have their board and their directors and stuff that control them. But that's all the changes I have. That's kind of a short chapter. It says we have to have a utility chapter, and I like to pare them down and not have a lot of information, because if somebody has a question about a particular, Pacific Power and Light, I prefer them to go to that actual company and look at their information, because they'll have a lot better maps and a lot better current information than we would if we put it in the comp plan. That's my comments on that section.
Okay, Commissioners, did you have any questions on Chapter 6 for Mike?
No, I don't.
I think it's all pretty straightforward. I'd like to make a motion to approve the changes to Chapter 6.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. A motion has been made by Commissioner Moore and seconded by Commissioner Dolan. All those in favor say aye. Or Rogers, excuse me, Rogers. All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion has been made to approve the changes on Chapter 6 utility element of the City of Sunnyside Comprehensive Plan.
I was not the second on that.
I corrected myself. That was Commissioner Rogers. Thank you, Tom.
Oh, okay.
Okay, are there any public comments tonight by staff or members of the Planning Commission? Any additional items from staff?
Yeah, I just have a few items. One will be the meeting. Depending on what we see from the governor and the CDC, we may be meeting in person next month. I am not quite sure where the meeting will be. We are just kind of holding out to find out what the governor does with the Open Public Meeting Act, whether we can still have some people on Zoom to participate in the meeting. So there'll be more information forthcoming, and I'll try to keep you in the loop on that. As soon as I get information, I'll forward it out to you via the emails you have. The other information I have is I was intending to bring the transportation element to you tonight just to introduce it, but I'm still working with Public Works and the engineer on some of the updated information, and one of the issues is discussion we're having is what level of service we want to use for the transportation portion, because what the city has to do is basically state in the comprehensive plan what their level of service expectations are. The previous plan had as an A. We looked at the cities around us, and a lot of them have C. The Washington State Transportation has a level of service D. So we're kind of analyzing that and seeing what recommendation we want to make to the Planning Commission on what our level of service should be for the city. So hopefully in the next week or so, I will be sending out that information to you, so you have a chance to look at it, and we may or may not discuss it in the July meeting. That's all the comments I have, Madam Chairperson.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll get to meet next month in person. That would be great.
It would be wonderful.
Yes. Our next Planning Commission meeting is July 13th. I know that I'm available. Commissioner members, any other comments? Okay, meeting is 6:39. Meeting is adjourned. We'll see everybody next month, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.